Michael Hyatt was a successful business leader by almost any measure. He was running companies, publishing books, and speaking to audience around the world. From the outside, it looked like he had everything dialed in. But behind the scenes, his health was slipping. Long hours, stress, and constant travel left little room for fitness. Like so many leaders, he told himself he'd get back in shape someday. Then came a turning point. Hyatt realized his lack of fitness wasn't just affecting his body. It was affecting his energy, his clarity, and even his leadership. So he decided to make a change. And that's when everything shifted. When he began exercising consistently, he noticed more than just physical transformation. His discipline in the gym carried over into the office. His energy skyrocketed. His ability to focus deepened. He found himself more competitive, more resilient, and more confident. And here's the surprising part. It wasn't just personal. His business improved too. Fitness gave him the edge to lead better, think clearer, and push farther than he could before. Michael Hyatt's story shows what many people miss. Fitness isn't vanity. It's stewardship. And when you steward your health well, it pays dividends in your career, in your finances, in your family, and in your legacy. And that's what today's episode is all about. Welcome to Plan to Prosper, where we exist to honor God by equipping faithful servants to steward their finances wisely and build wealth that endures for generations. All right, we are back for another episode of Plan to Prosper, and today is a little different. I don't have my trusty colleague Logan with me, but I do have two other colleagues with me, my friend John Wolf and Sam Stair. John and Sam, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
It's good to be here.
Yeah. Well, briefly, John, why don't you tell, for those who don't know you, tell a little bit about what you do at Stonecrop, a little bit about yourself, so that we can get to know you just a little bit before we get into the episode.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm financial advisor over at Stonecrop. Absolutely love it. I do a lot of client relationship, do both work with institutional and individual and families, and just kind of big liaison with the financial planner. Mm-hmm. We have an investment team with the clients, and I love it.
How long have you been with Stonecrop?
Oh my gosh, maybe 15, 16 months now.
Yeah.
Before that, I was in the finance industry, but it was working with funds and business to business, and I do like the change. I like working with people. The relationship part is I grossly underestimated how much I was going to enjoy it, and I've been loving it every day to see that change in the stress relief in people's eyes, in their face, their whole body language when they know everything's going to be laid out and it's going to be okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. And a little bit about your family?
Yeah, I have very blessed, beautiful wife, beautiful children, a 10-year-old son, 6-year-old daughter. They're heavily involved, great, love sports, love academics, love the church. So it's God's blessed me a lot.
Amen.
So I definitely cannot take credit for that.
Yeah. Sam, tell us a little bit about.
Yes. So I'm the client relationship associate here at Stonecrop. I joined about 5 or 6 months ago. So I'm the newbie to the team and the youngest on the team as well. And so I'm happy to be working here. I came from Fidelity Investments and was doing trading service over there. So it's a big change, and been excited about the change. And I am married almost 2 years now to a wonderful wife, and in the downtown area.
Yeah. That's great. We're very glad to have you both on the episode today.
Thank you.
And what we're going to be talking about today, that the cold open didn't make it obvious, we're going to be talking about the connection between fitness and finance, which at face value doesn't seem like there might be any connection there. Mm-hmm. They seem like two totally separate compartments of your life that you can compartmentalize, and you can deal with that over there. You can deal with this over here. You could be successful with your money and not in very good shape, and vice versa. You could be in really good shape and not be with any kind of financial success. The argument that we're going to be presenting today is essentially that these two are a little bit more linked than you might think. Mm-hmm. And while it is true, there may be, it's possible to be in really terrible shape and in really good financial health, and vice versa. I think it's worth pursuing both simultaneously. And obviously, from a Christian perspective, we also love to tie in the spiritual health, and that is always going to be most important. But we talked about, Logan and I, in an episode, I think this was maybe our second or third episode, we were talking about prosperity, and we had like 7 categories of prosperity. And there was spiritual prosperity is the most important, but physical prosperity was something that we were focusing on too, that prioritizing your physical health, like I said in the cold open, it's not vanity. It's an important part of our lives. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm looking forward to having the conversation with each of you. So the first thing that we want to focus on is the compounding nature of both fitness and finance. We've talked about this before on the podcast. Compound interest is something that I think most of us tend to understand with our finances, that you invest some money, that money grows and it compounds on itself over time. But the same is true with your fitness. When you go to the gym on day one, you're making that first investment, and that investment grows on the investment. So you continue to make deposits into your physical fitness account, and that continues to grow over time. And so this is all about showing up and making these consistent deposits into your health. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that there are some differences with compounding in finance. Like you can take, $1 million and double it into two, and there's the measurable significant difference. And when it comes to compounding with fitness, it's the measure of it is a bit more difficult to, put your finger on. So I was thinking about that, and I'd be curious of your thoughts. But it is just more of a, not numerical type of measurement. Yeah. That you would have to like set goals. I think goal setting is one of the best things that you can do to measure the compounding nature, because, you can, like, if it's not vain, then it's not all about how you look. So therefore, how do you measure the compounding nature of fitness specifically when it is very easy? That's what we do for our work. Like, it's very easy to measure the compounding nature of our work numbers.
Sure.
But, how do you do that with fitness?
Yeah, and John, I want to hear your thoughts too in a second, but we can talk about the differences for sure, and they certainly are different in the sense that if you put a lump sum into an account and just let it grow, theoretically that you don't have to ever put any more money in again, and that money can just continue to grow on itself. It is a little bit different in fitness. You can't just make the first deposit on fitness, show up in the gym day one, and then just expect it to compound on itself without ever having to touch it again. Yeah. So it's almost like you have to dollar cost average your fitness. You have to keep showing up forever. If you stop going to the gym, that's eventually going to go the other way. So that is a difference for sure. But I do think the measurables are there in terms of just how much am I lifting today compared to how much was I lifting 6 months ago. That's true. It's probably different if you've been consistent in showing up. Any thoughts?
Yeah, lots of thoughts actually. I think Sam brings up some pretty good points in the sense that you have to have goals and you have to define what those are. Just like financial planning in finance. That being said, if we're simply just looking at it from, you just talked about compounding. So it doesn't matter what those goals are. We're just looking about it compounding. So whether it's bodybuilding, hypertrophy, if it's the vanity aspect of it, or you're powerlifting or weightlifting, so you're trying to lift more weight previously, or if you're just trying to be in better health. So a long time ago, feels like a long time ago, right out of college, almost 20 years ago now, I started working at a gym for a couple of years. Loved it, enjoyed it. But there's two things that kind of the stories that kind of spike. First, when I would train people that were just looking to get in better health, a lot of the guys, especially, I was like, don't pay attention to the weight, because weight fluctuates. Let's just pay attention to how your body, like, how do your pants feel? How's your shirt feel? We want to see it get tighter across the chest and less and looser against the belly kind of deal. But those individuals, compared to other individuals that would come in, usually it was younger guys. When they first got a little story, but they would come in and, the first few weeks they're getting to know me, they're talking, small talk, chit chat kind of deal. Usually around week 3, week 4, they start asking, what's they're looking for pointers. But I knew what they were really looking for. They were looking for like the cheat code. They're looking like, okay, what steroids you're using, what kind of PEDs, SARMs, anything like that. And those guys they weren't consistent, and they never lasted. They come in, they hit it for a couple months, disappear for 6, come back, and then they never understood why they weren't getting results. Whereas the gentleman that was coming in, whether it was and I'll tell another story about a gentleman in a second, but the person that came in consistently, they were, like you were saying, compounding day after day, and not just in the weight room, but they also did it in the kitchen as well.
Yeah.
Because it has to be twofold. You have to be disciplined
Right.
twofold. Those are the individuals over time that made progress.
Yeah.
And I had a boss tell me a long time ago. He said that, remember, overnight success happens in 3 to 5 years. Now, so
like that.
Yeah.
in the sense that people don't see it. They don't see you putting the grind in. They don't see you putting the work in. They don't see you getting up at 5 a.m, getting in the gym before work, or
Right.
meal prepping, things like that. So all of a sudden, these individuals at the gym, the ones that were coming in looking for the secret sauce, if you will, or the gear or whatever, they would look at other individuals that would lift for 6 months, 8 months, and all of a sudden they look like they're in great shape.
Yeah.
And it's like, how that happened. They clearly were doing something different.
Right.
It wasn't. It was the compounding nature
Yeah.
of doing it over time. And sorry to go off the rails a little bit, but it really reminds me of this one kid in particular.
Okay.
I'm not going to drop his name. Not sure if you want that or not. But he was kind of a trouble kid in high school. I didn't know him then. I was about 6 or 7 years older than him, and he started coming to the gym. He was very unathletic, not in shape, at least visually speaking. But he wanted to learn, and he was very consistent, very dedicated, and he worked in the weight room. He wanted to get into boxing. So he worked his butt off boxing, worked his butt off in the weight room, and also dieting properly. And it took him years and years and years. And now, probably 15 years later, he is now, at least the last I saw, he travels, he was just in Canada for bare knuckle fighting. He actually
That's
made
awesome.
it. So like he is,
That is cool.
but he's an individual
Wow.
that I really admire in the sense that he is so dedicated to the
Yeah.
compounding aspect.
Yeah.
Right.
In all aspects, that's something he wanted, and he went after it. And he's very, it worked.
Yeah.
good.
That reminds me that we should probably start a bare knuckle boxing club at Stonecrop.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think my face could afford to get any uglier, so I'll pass.
Okay.
Fair enough. There's some aspects similar to kind of what you were bringing up. You do have to make these consistent deposits in the in the fitness world. That eventually, if you stopped doing that, it would go down, like I was saying earlier. But there's also, it can't necessarily compound forever in terms of the gains, like you were talking about. How do we measure it? Because you're going to reach a point where it does, in some ways, become a little bit more maintenance. You can't add weight indefinitely.
Right.
Theoretically, there's no ceiling to the financial future if you continue to make deposits. You can continue to see that grow and grow and grow over time with no real. Eventually, it just stops, right? Like that is
Unless
kind
you
of
take John's PEDs, then
true.
Yeah. Don't,
just kidding.
Yeah,
they're free.
because
There were none.
Yeah. So yeah, we're highlighting some similarities. There's
Right.
obvious differences, but I want to read Proverbs 13:11. We've read this on the podcast before, but it says, "Whoever gathers little by little will increase it." And we just want to stress that this is not about the overnight success. I love that quote. Overnight success happens in 3 to 6 years, or whatever you said. I probably just butchered that. But
That's okay.
3 to
Close
5.
enough. 3 to
whatever.
5.
3 to 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it takes you 6,
For me, it's
okay.
6.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That just means you stuck with it longer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And really, it's highlighting a principle that exists in all of life, that you just show up with discipline on a daily basis, and you will see yourself grow over time. So that's the first thing, is kind of wanted to highlight the compounding nature of both fitness and finance. But the second thing, piggybacking off of that, is discipline in fitness and the discipline in finance, and how these two things are related. So when you start building these habits, you show up, you're making progress, you're keeping track of it, you're denying yourself some short-term comfort. That's a principle that applies to your finances as well. When you see something that you really want to buy, but you restrain yourself and you say, no, I don't need that donut. I'm going to save the calories and I'm going to save the money, kind of a thing. So there's similar aspects here, where the discipline in fitness helps you be more disciplined in your finance as well.
Right. Yeah. That's good.
Self-control is a transferable skill. Self-control in one area of your life can help you be more self-controlled in another area of life. I think we are encouraging discipline and self-control across the board, and even obviously beyond your fitness and your finances. Spiritual self-control as well, and being godly and pursuing holiness. It takes discipline too.
Right. Yeah, it's good. Like, there's just so much value in continuing to show up. Like last year, I wasn't going to the gym much at all, and it immediately you start to see it, but then you start to feel it.
Yeah.
And I made a pseudo pledge, back in January. It's funny, like with New Year's resolutions, I feel like I don't usually make them, but I made one this year, and I'm sticking with it, which is, a win for me, because usually if I make them, I don't actually go through with them. So that's nice. But to actually like continue to stay within the fitness, like discipline to some level, to some extent, maybe that turns into running, maybe that turns into, doing things less, but I wasn't doing anything for, 9 months to a year. And so there is a sense of just so much value in continuing to discipline, in fitness. And I think that very much applies to like you said earlier, dollar cost averaging, or some level of saving that, there's just the blips in between can be so painful and so, hurtful to your goals or to your finance goals as well, where it really does affect. And so continuing in the discipline is just like so invaluable.
Yeah. Saying no to the pleasures today,
Yeah.
and saying yes to them tomorrow, essentially. Like if you fast forward 5 years from now, you're probably not going to regret having made consistent deposits into your investment account, nor will you regret having gone to the gym daily for 5 years.
Right.
I'm curious, was there a catalyst to your, was it just that it was around New Year's and you're like, you know what, enough is enough? Or was there anything specific that you were like inspired by that was like, I really want to get back in the gym?
No, I think it was, I was doing the education for the CFP, and I was almost done. And so there was just these 2 months, November and December, that I was putting a lot of time and energy into that. And January, I needed a break, and then realized, okay, I want to continue in the education, but I want to do it with still being able to give time to go to the gym and stuff. So it was more so the education side, kind of changing my habit,
more time. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep,
makes sense.
Yeah.
And what about you, John? Any thoughts on the discipline?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be disciplined, especially when it comes to both aspects of life, in the sense of in your personal finances and also in your health side of things. Because like you said before, you can't, same with finance, like you can't just not most people. So what do? We meet a lot of people, we network, we prospect, we have a lot of clients over the decades, and it's not many of them all of a sudden get a lump sum of money.
Right.
They don't just all of a sudden just get a lump sum. And also what we find is too, like you look at lottery winners or people that typically are awarded big settlements from physical injury or things like that. A lot of them they're broke in like 30 months or 36 months. They're worse off than they were before because
their wealth wasn't carved in discipline.
Right, exactly. So it's they had that, and it's gone. And something that triggered my thought though is when you said, maybe it was you that said blips, or maybe it was you that said blips, I'm not sure which. In the gym, like you're training, you're working out, and all of a sudden you blow a shoulder, or you hurt your knee, or like I think you tweaked your neck not long ago.
Yeah, I'm always tweaking something.
Yeah. But there are going to be blips even in in your finances. You know, there's going to be all of a sudden like was it last year and a half ago? Like my refrigerator broke unexpectedly. I needed a new furnace that blew unexpectedly, and I had 2 cars that went on me all within like 18 months. Wow. So even though I planned for some of that, it's hard in finance. Sometimes it's difficult to even put money aside, but you have to rework it sometimes, and you have to come up with a new game plan. Like, okay, I hurt my knee, I can't squat heavy. If I was going for a new PR, maybe I can just rehab that, get it back, and now readjust. Yeah. And same with and that's one thing I tell a lot of our clients, like when we're laying out these financial plans, like, this is a fluid document. Like this is something that if it needs to change, it can change. And I had a client that came on board this past spring. He was so excited. Unfortunately, he was let go. The one job, they were downsizing. He was let go. He's able to find a new job a couple months later. So excited to get started. I think it's ACL. He tore his ACL or his Achilles 2 weeks into his new job. Now, fortunately, benefits were day one.
Good.
But he went on long-term disability, 60% salary.
Yeah.
So
still hurts.
So he's like, John, like we need to readjust. I mean, absolutely. Like, let's keep, he's got 6 kids. Let's keep the lights on, food in their bellies, things like that. And then actually we're going to chat later this month. He should be back to work, things like that. So you do have to have you're disciplined also in the sense of like readjusting as necessary.
Yeah. I want to read Galatians 5. Everybody's familiar with this probably. Paul says, I say walk by the Spirit and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. Then he talks about the desires of the flesh and he lists those. Then he gives what the fruit of the Spirit is. And it's love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. So I think the self-control and the patience of the fruit of the Spirit are at play here, where this is a spiritual reality in our lives, that being self-controlled is an important aspect of our Christian walks. And it's not vanity to be pursuing your physical health as well and being disciplined in that. It's an aspect of the fruit of the Spirit, that you're prioritizing your own health above the desires of the flesh. The desire of the flesh would say, I would like to sleep in later. I would like to eat 6 donuts for breakfast, and I just want to sit on my duff all day, right? Like, that's a desire of the flesh in a lot of ways. So, people are tempted by that. I'm certainly tempted to do that sometimes. I love donuts. But the fruit of the Spirit would say, no, it's a good thing to get up early. It's a good thing to go to the gym and exercise and to avoid the donut and eat the eggs instead. Whatever that might be for all of us. But yeah, discipline is all over Scripture. That this is an important thing for Christians to be pursuing, and I think it pays dividends when you're doing it across the board in all areas of your life, including fitness and finance.
Right. Yeah.
Any other thoughts on discipline before we move to the next one?
I had a thought and a question. Do you guys know what GLP-1s are? Like Wegovy, and it's interesting how our culture is now starting to like monetize discipline. Like instead of you and I saying no to the 6 donuts, we take an injection so that our appetite is lowered so that we say no. And the monetization of discipline, it's like there's monetization creating the problem with food, but then there's also the solution. And I would be curious to hear Logan's take on, the investing side of, what are the ethical and conviction side of investing into these huge $billion companies now or drugs that are monetizing discipline. So it'll be interesting to see over the next 10 years, especially.
And from a fitness perspective, it's vastly different than what was there previously. Like the performance enhancing drugs. Like I myself never took any, I've never taken any steroids or anything like that, but I trained with a lot of guys that did. And for them,
you look like a guy that did.
No, well, thank you, but no. But a lot of these guys that did take steroids, and they were open about it, and that's fine. With steroids, like you couldn't just inject your body with steroids and get results. Like it didn't artificially create discipline. If you injected steroids and you didn't go to the gym, you just wasted money because it didn't just magically grow muscle on you. It just allows you to train harder, longer, and recover faster to be able to train more often. So the guys that like you see that are bodybuilders or powerlifters on steroids that they're huge from steroid use, it's because they actually did use it. So it's a good point that you're talking about the GLP-1. Like that's a whole nother facet that we've never experienced before. So it's even in a culture, especially like you look at the Soviets, during like the Cold War, the Americans and Soviets, when it came to athletes, they kind of had 2 different thought processes. The Americans, if you look at it, really we looked at it as like, oh, you're born an athlete. You know what I mean? There's certain things you're just born with, you're blessed with. The Soviets, like, no, an athlete's made in the lab. Like, an athlete can be made.
Totally.
Just with different performance-enhancing drugs and just discipline over time. So it's kind of different, unique aspects.
And you can't, like, there's no doubt that genetics do play a role in this. Like, you can have, you can be genetically predisposed to, like, just get massive. And sometimes
like
I don't.
John.
Yeah, like John. Yeah. I don't think I have that necessarily. In some ways, I do. My dad was a big lifter, and he was huge, and his lift of choice was the squat, and so I inherited that from him. But he also had a big chest, and I can't do it. I don't know why. I tried my hardest, but it's not growing yet.
But I think it's a good point, though, to bring the fact that we're all on the finance side of things. We're all kind of starting at different points in our lives as well. Some people are start off with, they have a family situation, or maybe whatever the education is that they're blessed to be able to, maybe they're intelligent enough and they have the ability to be able to go to med school, and they come out and they're making $100,000 potentially, depending on what kind of what they're doing, and they have all that money. But which reminds me of another story. One company I used to work for a long time ago, the external wholesalers, a lot of them were making $250, $300 minimum a year. And about 70% of them were living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Because they weren't disciplined. They wanted the $5,000 suits.
Exactly.
They wanted the $100,000 cars, and they wanted the crazy vacations, and it hurt them. So it's
and I think that highlights this point exactly, that no matter how much money you make, no matter what your fitness level is currently, it actually doesn't matter because the discipline is what's important, whether you're making $30,000 a year, $50,000 a year, or $200,000 a year, whether you can lift 500 pounds or 5 pounds. The important thing is that you are showing up in you, however God made you, and wherever God has you right now, you're showing up every day, because you're going to be better off a year from now than you were today if you're making the discipline a part of your life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Showing up is sometimes, or the act of the discipline is sometimes the result rather than the actual like physical strength. Like you were there for a year and you can do it another year, and you look back and you're like, wow, I actually showed up for 2 years or whatever. And that's sometimes more valuable than the actual like strength that you gained, at the gym curling, 25 pounds for us, 75 pounds for John, it's just like
elbows would fall off. But no, it reminds me of I think one of my son's wrestling coaches, we were at a tournament, and he was saying like, guys, like more than half the battles just showing up.
Yeah.
100%.
Like that is half. And he just got done telling that amazing little speech to get all these guys like super like fired up to go out there. And the very next wrestler's match, the opponent didn't show up. So he was able to move up in the tournament bracket automatically just because they didn't show up. And you can't win if you don't show up.
Yeah, that's right. I follow this account on Twitter or X, whatever, called Dudes. I think it's called Dudes Posting W's. And it's just videos of like guys that are winning and in like cool ways.
Yeah.
And one of the ones I saw recently was this young kid who I think the video said he was like 60 pounds. He's probably a teenager, but he was just as thin as a rail, as you can imagine. And he just started lifting, and he was showing his progress. And by the end of the video, he wasn't this massive guy. He was still really, really skinny, but he was proud of the progress that he had made. And it was really cool to see this account reposting his material, because it was like, yeah, that is absolutely a win. This kid showed up and he went from 60 pounds to 80 pounds, which is a massive difference when you're only 60 pounds to start with, and you've already gained 20 extra pounds. It was amazing. He still has a long way to go in his goals, I would assume. But that's exactly what, like, it's easy to throw your hands up and say, I don't make enough money. What I can't possibly do this. I wasn't genetically gifted with the ability to go to the gym. I'm not going to do it at all. But that's really not the attitude.
Yeah, that's not discipline.
Yeah, we encourage you to show up no matter where God has you.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So the next one is, when you're doing these things, when you're disciplined in your fitness, this can lead to some other effects. And I talked about it a little bit in the cold opening, that will impact even the way that your career goes, because there are tangible benefits to working out that beyond the health, beyond the strength, it boosts your confidence like you wouldn't believe. If you've never lifted before and you start doing it, it doesn't take long before you start to feel really good. And you like, there's something to, I'm not saying that you have to work out like at 4:00 in the morning or anything. Like, I think it's Jocko Willink that like every day he posts a picture of his watch, and it's just like, it's 4 a.m. He's like getting after it. That's
in the
cool.
cold bath or whatever.
Yeah. But there is something to getting up before everybody else does, and you get your workout in, and you're leaving the gym before half the country's even awake. And you're just like, I'm already winning today, and I'm going to go continue to win at work. So there are other benefits here, that when your confidence skyrockets, you perform better at work. And then when you perform better at work, more opportunities will probably come your way. More opportunities to earn more money for your family and to provide well for your future. So there's a lot of things here that fitness has these other benefits that are will pay dividends in your career as well.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Jocko is a specimen of a specimen. So
Yes.
that's hard to, and try not to compare yourself. I'm sure that many of you guys have seen the short out there. I said, what is it? The comparison is the theft of joy, which was brilliant concept. But we talk about helping yourself with work. Years and years ago, I worked jobs that were difficult. It was difficult to show up. They were long hours. You really didn't feel appreciated in certain circumstances, and it was very much like, what have you done for me now lately? So, I just felt myself frustrated, and a lot of times I would stay up till midnight, 1 o'clock, falling asleep on the couch because I was like, no, like I'm not gonna let, like I all I did was work. All I did was work, and I found myself falling asleep on the couch, like not gonna let work take that from me. Like it's my day, it's my life. I'm gonna choose when to fall asleep. And I started realizing like it's just not healthy. I was still losing mentally, the mental game.
Yeah.
So I started getting up early and hitting the gym early in the morning. I was like, I'm going to pay myself first before I
love that.
Before I do that.
good. Yeah.
So I go and I hit, and it was rough. I prepped myself. Actually, at that point, I would essentially sleep in my gym clothes.
Yeah.
So I had everything prepped in the morning, and I was up and out the door by 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And I would literally sleep in my gym clothes, roll out of bed, and go.
Love it.
To some degree, and just go hit the gym.
Shoes and all.
Yeah. It was.
Shoes in the bed.
Yeah.
Wife wasn't happy,
Yeah,
but good Lord, if I brought my shoes in the bed, she would. I would be
Done.
sleeping on the front porch. So
When I was a little kid, I used to like want to sleep in my jeans for some reason. I had this stretch where I like didn't want to be in pajamas, and I was like, I was more comfortable wearing a pair of jeans to bed. I don't know why.
I'm going to say that outright. That's weird.
It was very weird.
That was weird.
Don't do that anymore, but
Nah, sleeping in jeans is not a
Not a look.
comfortable thing.
Yeah.
that was weird. But
Yeah, I think I saw someone at the gym in jeans yesterday, and it's like, okay.
I actually love it. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Like there's something about like he doesn't care. He
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
care.
he doesn't give a rip.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, the boldest is, jeans and no shirt or something. That's
Yeah.
next level.
Yeah.
I haven't been to a gym since COVID, before COVID.
Yeah.
Used to hit the gym in the morning, 5 a.m. before COVID. COVID hit, no more gym, right? So I bought some equipment at home in my basement, just free weight stuff, basically a barbell and some weights. And I will say that the number one outfit I lift in is blue jeans. Because I'm
Okay.
a man. So,
There you go.
so I am guilty.
Oh, I saw you yesterday. Okay.
Yeah, that was me.
Interesting.
That's funny.
There's a guy at my gym. He's like 70 years old. He wears like a tank top to the gym, and after every set, he's right up in the mirror and he just lifts up his tank top and starts looking at himself.
Wow.
It's a level of vanity that I don't ever want to. That's not what we're going for here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll tie that into finance.
Yeah, go for it.
That is the exact same concept if you're staring at your investment account throughout the day. Did it go up, go down? Did it go up, go down? And that's not what we do. We want to look at long-term approach.
Love it.
We don't want to see like, oh my gosh, like, market's down 20%, let's get out.
Yeah.
Which, if you're in the finance world, that means you're now selling at a low.
Yeah.
And when you try to come back in, it's going to be high.
Right.
Which is the inverse of what we want to do.
Yep.
Same concept. Don't be vain about it. It's going to create stress. It's going to create problems. Obviously, pay attention to make sure it's going the direction you'd like it to go.
Sure.
Why is it going which direction, and how you got there.
Yeah, and someone does need to pay attention, but that's where a financial advisor comes into play. Like, that's
in your finance, for
our
sure.
yeah, that's our role. And so people do need to pay attention. But even us, like we're not scouring the market, 24/7. Even us who work in it. So
Sure.
it's not an obsessiveness that needs to be replicated.
But I think that too plays into the losing the discipline and losing your motivation when you are so focused on the results. If you're starting off and you're really, really out of shape and you start going and you feel motivated those first few weeks, and then you look in the mirror and you go, I look exactly the same as I did. Forget this. That is not the attitude to have. And so it is, you have to in some ways be able to separate yourself from that and just go, I'm a person that works out and I do it every day. And the results will come eventually, but if you're too focused on it, especially early on, you can lose it and just want to quit. And same thing with finance. If you're not, this isn't growing like I thought it would. This is what am I doing here? I'm going to save this money. I'm going to keep this money myself instead. I'm going to spend it on what I want to spend it on.
Right.
So,
And it's a lifestyle change. I
Yeah.
mean, that's why
Yeah, it is.
that's why diets typically, the concept of dieting, for most people, it doesn't work. Because what happens is they go on like, oh, I'm going to go on a crash diet they're not disciplined in their nature. They just do it real quick. And then they decide, oh, it's summertime. I'm just going to go nuts and just not work out for 3 months and eat and drink whatever I want.
Yeah.
And they wonder why they yo-yo. Same with finance. Like you have people that they're disciplined for a few months and then they're like, you know what? My wife will tell you I do not like the terminology deserve. Anytime somebody's like, oh, you deserve something.
Yeah.
I do the opposite. Because it freaks me out because I feel like I deserve nothing. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe that's, you know, if we had a psychologist on here, they can help diagnose me with that. But I just, in the sense of like, you know, God's blessed me with everything and I don't deserve anything.
Right.
So when it comes to when I hear people like, you know, summertime comes, they've saved for 6 months, not for trips, not for anything in particular, but now all of a sudden their lifestyle changes and then now they're going out partying, they're going out drinking, they're going out, you know, going on vacation, whatever it is.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden they wonder why their credit card bills are crazy come fall and they lack that discipline.
Yep.
So that's the correlation that I can.
Yeah, and we've talked about this on the podcast too. When it comes to your finances, it is okay to enjoy your the financial wealth, whatever that is for you.
Absolutely,
that God's blessed you with. It is okay. Like we're not so I don't know what the word is, but stoic that it's like you have to deprive every single possible desire.
Not misers.
Yeah, we're not that way. Like it's okay to go out to dinner with your family. It's
Absolutely,
okay. It's okay to enjoy what God the fruits of your labor.
Right.
But if that's your general MO, that you're always not depriving yourself, you're always indulging, and you're always treat yourself is your kind of mantra, YOLO. You're probably not going to be financially healthy. You're probably not going to be physically healthy.
Right.
And that may not manifest until you're in your 30s or 40s, or 60s.
Yeah,
because it's something when you're young. It's hard to view that. It's hard to spear. You know, sometimes it's really difficult to look that far into the future.
Yeah.
And see it takes steps A's through Z to get there. So there's a lot of people that they didn't pay attention in their 20s. They had fun in their 20s. And in their 30s, they were doing better. But now all of a sudden they're in their 40s and they're like, oh, I don't want to work for forever. And they just kind of throw their hands up.
Yeah, consequences are varied even on the downside. It's like you're not going to experience the consequences negatively right away. Sometimes of like the lack of saving or the lack of fitness. Just like if you're looking to, you know, save into that account or show up to the gym every day, you're looking to tomorrow and you're looking to the next day for the results down the line. And sometimes it's the same consequence-wise on the downside.
Yeah.
And it can be really painful. You know?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we sort of ventured back into the discipline conversation, which is fine. But I think in this point we're talking about the intangible things about confidence and your career actually starting to improve as well as a result of being more disciplined in your fitness, because you're feeling more confident. You're feeling your leadership qualities can improve as a result. Your mind is sharper. You start sleeping better because you're more exhausted. Like if you're used to just sitting at a desk all day, which a lot of us have those kinds of jobs. I know we do. But if that's all you're doing every single day, you're not really physically engaging. But when you add this aspect to your life and you're at least doing something a little bit more physical, you sleep better and you end the day and you're like, I worked hard today, both in my career and also in the gym. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm no physicist, but what is it? Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it Newton's third law?
I'm not
body in motion
I have no
stays
idea.
in motion, a body rest stays at rest, and the same principle I think in life. The people that get up and they work out and they get moving for the day, like I know for myself, the days I wake up and I hit the gym, and hit the weights or whatever I'm doing that morning, I am way more productive versus when I kind of lazily get up. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
I also see that in my children. If my children get up, and they don't get a lot of screen time, but if I allow them to wake up and just kind of lazily go about their morning, watch TV, like they are a pain in the neck to get moving anywhere. So let's say we have somewhere to be at like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. I'll let them get up casually on a Saturday, you know, watch TV. Like it's a fight to get them in the car. But if I get them up and I make them do something physical to start the day, it's a lot easier to. They're just moving. So that's I don't know, is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah. When you're winning in the gym, you're winning. You tend to start winning everywhere else.
Yeah, I think it's fun to, you know, hold yourself confidently, and when your fitness is not good, then you can't really do that. So I think it's just an enjoyable aspect of life that, you know, you can implement into your work as well. And like we were talking about, I think like a month ago, how like if you hired a lawyer and he showed up in like a donkey, 80s Lincoln or whatever, you would question their, competency. And we were talking about that with financial advisors sometimes as well. It's like, how do they present themselves? And health is an aspect of that. Not the most important, but it is an aspect of
It is.
Your confidence and how you're holding yourself is just, it shows like it comes out in your interactions with the people you serve. And it's important to implement that or have an aspect of that, because those who just completely disregard, they're just, I think, missing out a little bit.
Yeah. This is the only discipline in life that you wear. Like, I'm not saying you have to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger or John Wolfe, but like you carry this with you, and it's obvious to the world around you when you are prioritizing this aspect of your life. It will become more obvious to others over time. And I think for too long, especially in the Christian world, that's been like, that's so superficial. This is not something that you should be pursuing. It's vain. And I want to stress that we're not talking about this vanity, like I just look so good, because it's not about that, but it is about the way you present yourself is important.
Right.
Now, God does say, when he's talking about King David, who was the young, scrawny boy of his brothers, that God looks at the heart, not the outward appearance. And that's true. But I think for too long, Christians have kind of taken that and said, this doesn't matter at all then. I don't need to prioritize this because God looks at the heart. And of course, he cares about your heart. If you are spiritually unhealthy and physically healthy, you're not a healthy person. But it's not wrong to pursue physical health that then leads to you visually end up presenting yourself as a healthy person.
We talk about, David being a scrawny little kid, and I kind of wonder where that comes from to some degree. Obviously, he was not as big as Saul, but Saul, I think, was like a head taller than everybody.
Yeah.
Anyway, but at that point, he had, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he had already killed a lion and a bear.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was physically incapable of handling himself. And the fruit of the Spirit, one thing you talk about is peace, or I take it as like being peaceful. And I think Dr. Jordan Peterson, at least the one who I learned it from, coined it best. There's a distinction, and I think in Western civilization, Christian culture, we've lost this in the last probably 50 years. There's a large distinction between being peaceful and harmless. And I think in our culture, we look at being peaceful as being harmless. Like if you're harmless, that means you're peaceful. For you to be able to be peaceful, and this is where Jordan Peterson comes into play, you have to be capable of great violence and great harm. So being peaceful is a choice. If you're harmless, you can't be peaceful because you can't choose to be violent. And not that physicality is everything, but I will say that they have weight classes for a reason in all martial sports, combat sports, whatever you want to call it. You do have to respect size. You do have to respect strength. And an easy way, an individual that if you take two individuals in particular and you put them in, one goes to work out, one doesn't, and they don't have any combat training at all, the one that works out is going to be able to handle themselves way better in a physical altercation. And I'm a father, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be a liability to my children. Obviously, we've had some crazy things happening this week. We've seen in the news. Not necessarily to bring that up per se, but
that's actually going to be one we talk about in a couple.
You want to be capable, you want to be able to, I remember seeing this one video years ago, and there was it was in a parking lot, and it was a mom that was not in shape, we'll say, and she fell.
I saw
and
that.
It was a stroller going towards traffic, I believe. And she kept trying to get up, and because she was so out of shape, she just couldn't get up to go get the stroller. I don't remember the end result of that.
I think somebody
else grabbed it. But that's something that just, and you don't have to, this is what I told people too, you don't, like you said, don't want to be Arnold, you don't need to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then there's never going to be another Arnold. He is, you know what I mean? You don't have to be Jocko, there's not going to be another Jocko, but it takes 15 minutes a day.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much discipline to do body squats, pull-ups, push-ups, and just diet correctly to be healthy.
Yeah, and find what works for you too. I think body types are different. Men are different from women. The things that they enjoy are going to be different. I heard of this one workout routine that I'm very interested in at least trying. I don't know if you guys heard of shovel glove.
No.
Okay.
At least not the terminology. I may have heard of it. Like,
All right, I'm going to tell you about it right now. This guy came up with this fitness program, just briefly, where he takes a sledgehammer, a 20-pound sledgehammer, he wraps an old sweater around it, and he calls this thing a shovel glove. And what he does is he sets an alarm on his phone for 14 minutes every single day, hits that, and he just does practical movements like shoveling snow or throwing swinging an axe, things that you would find that you would do in the real world. And he just does these movements until that alarm goes off, and he's done for the day. And he never goes longer than that, because he says 15-minute increments is like the shortest increment of time that we can conceptualize, like not half an hour, not 45. 15 minutes, we're going to make it one minute less than that. We're going to make it 14 minutes. You have to do it every single day. You're never allowed to go beyond that. And he's in incredible shape as a result of this. Just doing these practical movements. And it sounds kind of fun. Like, that's kind of why I want to try it. But find what works for you and do it every day or multiple times a week.
Yeah, another thing you can check out, it reminds me of something that came out a long time ago. It was they called it caveman training.
Yeah.
Same concept. Practical movements. And you just kind of repeated it every day.
Yeah.
Versus, having to go lift weights or do the bodybuilding style, the bro split.
Yeah, and I've been seeing more of this. Like Joe Rogan says, at least he did somewhat recently, that he doesn't lift a weight over 60 pounds anymore. That he at this stage of his life, it's largely like kettlebell style work, which some people might not be into that at all, but there is something to be said for the toll that super heavy long-term lifting it takes on your joints and stuff, and maybe doing more mobility things with weight that help protect your joints but give you this a little bit of functional strength in the process. There's so many different ways that you can do this. You don't have to just get under a bar and squat 500 pounds every day. We're not saying that. So let's keep moving. We've got a couple left. And the next one is the connection between physical and spiritual health. So we talked about the connection between, we talked about this a little bit, but fitness and finance, but there's also a connection with your spiritual health as well, because Paul says that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit in 1 Corinthians 6. Now, granted, that context is about sexual sin, and so I acknowledge that, but I don't think that it is unapplicable to your physical health as well, that prioritizing this because your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit is a way for you to honor the Lord because you're created in the image of God, and to just treat your body as if it's totally immaterial and doesn't matter at all by putting junk food in it constantly and lazily sitting around every day of your life. I don't think that honors God. So again, we're not talking about being Arnold. We're talking about just treating your body with the respect that God that it deserves, because God made you in His image, and Paul says that your body is a temple. I also want to read 1 Timothy 4. Paul says, have nothing to do with irreverent, silly myths. Rather, train yourself for godliness. For while bodily training is of some value, godliness is of value in every way, as it holds promise for the present life and also for the life to come. So he acknowledges bodily training, he doesn't say is of no value. He says it's of some value.
Right.
But godliness is of value both in the present age and the life to come. I think he's saying bodily training, it is more for the here and now. This isn't laying up treasures in heaven. This is how you're living your life here on earth. But it does have value, and he acknowledges that. I think he also talks about how he would like discipline himself and almost like beat himself or train himself like an athlete so that he would stay godly and not be taken by sinful temptations.
Yeah. I was thinking about how I think you can get away with just growing yourself physically, going to the gym alone. You're going to do better when you do it with people, but the spiritual sense of you just can't do it alone. And like being in a church and being involved in a community and encouraging one another and rebuking one another, I think is such a big aspect of this, where you see the most results when you are walking, in life with one another. And I think in fitness, you are going to see the best results if you do that as well. I just think like you can kind of get away with doing it on your own physically, and you're just never gonna get there, and you're never gonna honor the Lord alone in your spiritual life. So I was just thinking about that connection of just how Yeah, we need others. Like we need each other to be able to walk this out well. And I think you see that when it comes to, fitness as well, where usually, at least in my life, the times that I've seen the most growth was when I was doing it with others consistently.
Yeah. And I've really enjoyed, since having you on staff, coming into the office and even asking each other, like, did you lift this morning?
Yeah.
And it's a helpful little accountability thing that I'm like, I know Sam's going to potentially ask me that question. And I don't want to say no to that.
Shame.
Even if I did today. But we don't need to talk about that.
Yeah.
No, you're right. And I've been solo myself in my basement for the last 5-6 years, I guess 5 years now. And it's all self-motivation. There's no accountability. Whereas when I was in the gym, it was, you did see people, they did help push you as well. Especially the old timers, they'd come over and they would be like, all right, you can do more, let's do it. And I think that in the Christian community, it works that way also.
Yeah.
You talk about rebuking, iron sharpens iron. It's there's an accountability there that you don't get. And it reminds me of someone that I have in my family. He's not immediate, but he's in my family. Christian man, but he's stuck. Like, he's stuck from when he was in his 20s because I don't know exactly what happened, but something happened in the church and he felt there was way too much hypocrisy. And still Christian, still reads the Bible, but he hasn't been to church in like 40 years because I guess whatever happened hurt him enough that he chose not to get past that. He chose not. There's a forgiveness aspect that he needs to work through himself. But he's stuck. He doesn't have that accountability. He doesn't have that rebuke in his life. That when we do talk to him, he's the same. He's never progressed. And there's some things that he needs that we benefit from that community.
Yeah. Yep. Discipline in the body can strengthen your discipline in prayer. Can strengthen your discipline in Bible reading and even resisting sin. So. This goes across the board. Yeah.
Yeah, there is such an overlap when it comes to like growing yourself in discipline in one area, how the tide rises in your life in general. It's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm sure we're wrapping up here shortly or not, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we got one more.
I don't want to forget this. One thing I will say is, we talk about all the fitness, and I think about all the people that have blessed me over the years, different people I've worked with, different people that have trained me, different things. I go and I research, and you learn from different individuals that they're experts. So you learn from them in the fitness world. And I feel like the people that are in the fitness world, it's easy to do that. You know what I mean? You just go and you do that.
Yeah.
If people have absolutely no clue, they go to a gym, they hire a personal trainer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that translates very well to the financial world because it's harder to understand the financial world than it is to understand the fitness world. So like you need to find somebody that is an expert. You need to find somebody that knows what they're doing and rely on them and have conversation, but also learn personally. So that way you can have the conversation back and forth. But so I just wanted to forget that. Find somebody that can help you along the way.
Yep. And then the last one is, and we've touched on it a little bit, but I do want to kind of spend the rest of our time focusing on this, is the connection with, especially if you have kids, if you're married, if you're married, and also if you have kids and you're in that season of life where you still have kids in your house. This is a really important aspect of that as well, because your health directly impacts your ability to even engage with your children. Like one of the things that I really try to prioritize when I'm with my kids who are toddlers right now is when they want to play with me, that I'm not like, I'm too tired. Like I can't. Like I don't ever want that. And my daughter right now, she's 1.5. I put her on my shoulders a few weeks ago, and I've been doing this with my nieces for a while because my dad used to do this with me. I put them on my shoulders and then start like pretending to tip over, and they think it's a lot of fun. It's this fun ride, and so she now can't get enough of it. And she comes up to me, and what she says is, she goes, I think she says try. She goes, try, and because I did it with my son first, and then I said, Elsie, do you want to try? And now she associates the word try with getting on my shoulders and tipping over. So I don't ever want to be like, I can't. I'm too weak. I'm too tired. Like I always want to be like, absolutely, we're doing it today. So playing with your kids, but also, as you were mentioning, protecting your kids, because we live in a crazy world. And I saw a video a few months back where they were interviewing a pedophile. And they asked him, he had been caught and was convicted, and they asked him, how did you choose your victims? And he said, I would look at the dad. If he wasn't a threat, then that was the kid I would go after.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, there's another study my brother and I were talking about the other day, a few months ago maybe. Similar concept. They did it. They asked a bunch of pedophile offenders, how did you choose your targets? And they said, was a dad involved? Yeah. Was he a threat, or was he so disconnected or just removed that that's who we go after?
Wow. Yeah. And it's terrible that we have to think about that. Just terrible. But my whole perspective changed once I got married. When I was single, I lived in a pretty sketchy part of town, and I had a baseball bat in the corner of my bed, and that was my security system. Didn't really care at all. If somebody came in, I'd be like, all right, I'll do my best. If they have a gun, I've got a little Louisville Slugger. That's about all I got. Then I got married, and I was like, I need a gun. We don't need to get into that. Yeah. But then I started having kids, and I was like, I need to get in shape. Like this is
that's good.
This is my responsibility. Speaking specifically to kind of the guys here that are charged with the protection of your household. I think being in shape and not letting the stroller fall into traffic when an incident happens, and being able to go get that thing. It's pretty important.
Yeah. And obviously there's extreme circumstances that can prevent some people, but we're talking about health issues, not lack of discipline, not lack of just trying. And it's not always easy. Same with finances. It's not always easy to try to, especially after you've already lived a lifestyle where you're spending beyond your means. It's really difficult to all of a sudden now, let's start giving. It's really difficult to find money, like, let's start saving so we can start investing.
Right.
Obviously, we have those 5 points we talk about in the financial planning. We start with giving and saving first before we talk about spending. And there is a pain point there. Any change is always painful. That's why people don't like change.
Yeah.
So it's funny how much people are, even if they say they like change, it's amazing how much they're adverse to change, especially when they can't control it. My in-laws right now, they bought a property back in November. It's about 4 acres. It was decently wooded. They recently discovered that a lot of the trees they're old trees, 50, 60, 70 feet tall trees, old oaks, different things like that. They're diseased. So like a lot of them are hollow inside, so they had to take down quite a bit of these trees. And, the neighbors are now complaining because it's not the neighbor's trees, but like the one neighbor is like, oh, now I can see your garage more. It's like, well, yeah, I had to take them down though. And like another neighbor is complaining like, oh, there's an ordinance on how many you're allowed to take down. And it's like, oh, well, yeah, but they're diseased. Do you want to come over and take a look at them?
Yeah.
And he declined. But there is, so even people that have, what I'm trying to make a point is, these are people that have zero skin in the game, and they don't like the change that other people are making. So if you have to make change in your own life, it's going to be painful. Yeah. It's not going to feel good initially.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then one final thought on the family thing is, not only do we want to be able to engage with our kids now, when I'm still in the prime of my life now as a 34-year-old, but I want to be able to engage with my grandchildren, and maybe even more willing, my great-grandchildren someday. Now, I won't be able to do the things that I can do now, but if I'm prioritizing my health now, chances are it's gonna set myself up better for success in the long run. And I want to be around when my grandkids are around, and I want to be able to play with them too, and not just be like, oh, grandpa's too tired. I want to be in it for the long haul. And so your physical health, if you're taking care of your body now, there's a greater chance. It's not guaranteed. The Lord could bring about whatever, but still, if we're prioritizing it now, greater chance of more longevity in your life too.
I go to the YMCA, and so there's a lot of older people who are there, and I was just thinking, like, it's just not worth waiting until retirement. Not that these people could be fit their whole lives, but it's just not worth waiting until retirement to pursue your fitness and just like enjoy the physical exercise side of things. It's worth pursuing now.
Yeah, and two things that I'll do the easy one first, but I saw a study recently, and I can't remember the study, but it showed the quad extension, so like your quad strength of a 30-year-old that doesn't work out and never has worked out is equivalent to like an 80-year-old male that has worked out. So like that just so it shows you like that long. Maybe it was a 75-year-old male, something like that. Sure. Very aged though, that the quad strength is similar. Yeah. So it just shows you how much important it is, and to really validate, not that you need it, but to validate what you're talking about. And I'm right there with you as far as like trying to be healthy as a grandfather. I see it in my own kids. So like my father passed away simply from cancer, so it was not a health issue in that sense. 19 years ago, and my one, I could definitely have used him over the last 20 years. But also like my son, he comes to me, he's like, Dad, how can I miss somebody I never met? So like there's that hole there that he wants. Yeah. So I'm right there with you in the sense that trying to not just be around, but be capable
Yeah,
of being an active part of their life.
absolutely.
Right.
And then your kids see it too, and so that you're passing on these ideals to them too, and hopefully they take up that mantle as they
Right.
get older and they start doing the exact same thing, so that they can do that for their kids and their kids. But
Yeah.
that is what we were talking about today. If kind of our closing challenge is, what's one thing you can do to insert a little bit more potential fitness in your life, whether it's taking more walks. It could be as simple as that. And walking is a super underrated one, by the way. We didn't talk about it at all, but just going for walks. And
1,000 steps.
Yeah, 10. That's not arbitrary. That's actually a really good number to shoot for. It is kind of a lot if you've never done it before, but it's great. So there is something to that. But yeah, do something this week that helps you engage a little bit more with your physical life.
That's good.
Thank you for listening. Thank you, John and Sam, for hopping on the podcast. Of course. And, we'll tune in next time for the next episode of Plan to Prosper. God bless. Investment advisory services offered through Stonecrop Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. This material is intended for informational purposes only.